ways to add text files, to do animations and things like that. But we have tools programmers now that have created this id Studio environment. So in our actual office, we use it for a lot more than just content creation. We actually have it completely integrated with our source control, even down to my to-do items. I can just come in here every day, make a list of the things I need to do. It's all integrated into our task and bug systems, calendars. We have an information wiki for the game. Just a lot of cool stuff that's helping us out, and it's quite the departure from what we used to do in the past. We still have the world editor, and I'll pop into that later and show you that it's still fully functional. We're definitely going to use it, and it's totally necessary for some of the things you do in game design. But on top of that, because of the modular nature of the editor, we've been able to add anything we want. The animators now use this tool. The landscape painters use this tool, and it's all being evolved again to meet the needs of our internal project. So it's not just an engine and a tech demo. This is actually works really well for what you want to do with this technology. And you'll see here, this is the biggest addition, and this is the terrain editor. I kind of call it a combination between Photoshop and then one of the 3D professional packages, because we have some model tumbling and some of the things that the artists like out of those programs. But then on top of that, we've added this kind of, we have stamps and terrain tiles, and I'll show a little bit of that in a minute. But it's almost like this palette the artist can choose from. And if anybody uses Photoshop, you end up setting up these custom brushes, or you get this system just the way you like it. So we've kind of given the artist what they want to best take advantage of creating this. So again, we have, I would call it 3 different ways to get to the level of detail you're seeing in the track there. The first way is the artists are allowed to take giant pieces of geometry and whatever tool they're comfortable with. They can use Max, they can use Lightwave, Modo. We have a bunch of guys using a bunch of different things. So they just create these giant, I call them mega geometry tiles, and whatever the tool allows them to build. And they can put a totally unique texture on top of there, which means this giant boulder over here can have the unique bump map that matches and the diffuse. So you get these really cool large-scale details, and that's extremely important when you're racing by in an environment like this in a car. You need to see those kind of landmarks in a game. Then on top of that, we have this tiling system, and this might look familiar because other games actually use this system to do their entire terrain. You can see the dimmer areas when I move to the tiling system. Those are actually some of those mega geometry tiles, as I like to call them, with their unique texturing. And John takes all of that and builds the base of the mega texture. Then on top of that, I can come to this tiling system. The artist gets a little brush like this. He can come choose through these tiles that we built up over time, or make new ones. There's no limitation here, but he's not actually editing individual pixels. It's much easier than that. I'm going to probably make this look ugly because I'm not an artist, but it'll give you the idea. So I can take this, size it up to any size. I can kind of scrub out an area. Let's put some grass in here. Then I'll update that. Yes, and then I'll hit the button to move back to the preview mode. And you see what I've done now is I've replaced the existing tiles with this kind of grassy texture. And there's no limitation to that. Again, the artists are free to use whatever they want. If they don't like that grass texture, they can go and make a new one. If they wanted something totally different, they can do that. All of those limitations, now basically we don't have to rely on artists to be good optimizers as far as it comes to surface texturing. They can just be good artists. And it's worked out really well so far. We've actually had one guy build this entire terrain, and this is while we're developing both the tools and figuring out what we want. But he did it in about 2 man-months, as John said, but he could probably redo it in a significantly shorter amount of time. Then on top of that, you can see it left what we call these stamps on top. And again, originally, this was nothing. It started out as just one tile texture. But if I move to the stamp delete mode, I'm not going to delete any of these, but you can see me hovering around with all the different types of stamps that can be stamped on top. And if I move to the stamp palette and choose something like, let's do some graffiti because that's nice, and I'll choose this danger side, go to stamp mode. They're able to scale, rotate, and there's no limit to where this can go. They can stamp the full basically a couple of different ways, and we're adding new ones all the time as the artists need. But the normal mode stamps both the diffuse, the bump map, and everything about that particular material. But you can come in here and do cool stuff like let's add just the diffuse at 50%. I'll try to stamp it across these bones here. So you can see what it did was tone down the diffuse, leaves the bump map that was already existing, and kind of stamps it right over there. So it's a layer on top. And there's no danger with screwing up, because you can undo really quickly. Like I can take those off. And all of the stamps, if I go back in the stamp delete mode, all of these are saved forever. Anybody else can go back in here and edit these stamps. So unlike a Photoshop file, if you flatten it all and forgot to save all your layers or something like that, this is always saved for us. And we can actually have multiple artists working on completely different parts of the terrain. As many as we want. I mean, it works better if you pick a section, but we could throw one artist on this corner over here and say, hey, the player has to get out and look at this ruined, car and search for some goodies in there, and then we could send another guy near the start area and start working there, and they can just work simultaneously. And one of the really neat things is that everybody else who's playing the game, we can actually be driving around the terrain and see these updates as we go. And not only on our PC or our development system, you can actually see it across all of the platforms. We usually keep these set up every morning and make new builds, but if somebody goes look at the PS3, they can see it being updated live. We even had guys that work at home over VPN, get some pretty successful speeds about having it update over that distance. Let me show a couple of other neat things. There's a few more options in here that I think are really cool. I won't be able to get the most impressive use out of this, but I think just seeing it will give you an idea of what they can do.